Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday and Wednesday on Bookmap YouTube and the Bookmap Discord channel. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X. My name there is @Pless. Here are the key tenets to my approach of trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures. I'll talk more about that today, certainly in the large cap tech stocks like the Magnificent Seven stocks, as well as the equity index futures like the S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index. SPY is the ETF version of that index, and the ES futures contract is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the Nasdaq 100, NDX is the underlying index. QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index. And the NQ futures contract is a derivative of NDX. And just like the S&P 500, when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and they hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis, and for setups. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. Setups in that asset can be taken with futures contracts, shares of stock, or options, depending on the asset as well as the way you like to trade. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Here's my agenda for today, Wednesday, February 5th. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events and earnings for today as well as the rest of the week. Then I'll go over my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. Then I'll take a look at the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's get started with news items, economic data, and events. So let's take a look at the S&P 500. And this is the ES futures and Bookmap. And give me just a moment. I need to make an adjustment to this chart. The ES to SPX offset has changed a little bit. I was using 24 points. I'm going to change that to 1 point. Give me just a moment. All right, so that should update in a few minutes, just less than a minute, a few seconds. All right, so this is the ES futures of Bookmap. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So this morning, ISM Services PMI data came out at 10 a.m. And there was a reaction to the data. And it was less than expected, less than the previous number, but also greater than 50, so still indicating expansion. All right, so that is the ISM Services PMI, 10 a.m. Initial bullish reaction right up to the SPY, 601 volatility trigger, great point for a short, and then S&P dropped down about over 20 points. So a great point for a short, resistance at the 601 SPY 601 volatility trigger that had previously acted as resistance. Right here at 601. So again, a great short after the data. All right, so that was the data release today. For the rest of the week, tomorrow the jobless claims come out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then, excuse me, on Friday, the big data release of the week, the jobs report at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and then 10 a.m. Michigan consumer sentiment. All right, quite a bit of earnings reports this week. First of all, AMD and Google reported yesterday after the close. We'll take a look at both of those stocks. And then tomorrow, Amazon reports earnings after the market closes. And there are some, of course, many other stocks reporting as well. All right, so that is again, we'll take a look at AMD and Google in just a couple of minutes. All right, so this is the ES Futures and Bookmap. Let's step back. Let's take a look at a higher time frame before we take a closer look at this chart. So this is a chart of the underlying index, SPX. Hello, Stephen. Welcome. Glad you're here. All right, so this is SPX, a one day, 1 year chart. Rally is still intact. A little bit of recent consolidation. All right, let's take a look now at a 30-day, 1 hour chart. So the reaction after the December FOMC meeting is now off this chart. So let's take a quick look at some of the key events. So after the FOMC, there were a couple of tests down of this 58.32 level. Also this downtrend line acting as resistance. Final washout below the 58.32 level, and then price broke out above the downtrend line, then acted as support. All right, so now SPX consolidating. Let's take a look at the levels on this chart. First of all, the expected moves. The dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from Friday. Those levels remain in place for the entire week. Dashed blue lines showing the lower and upper daily expected move, also based on the options market. Based on the closing price for SPX from yesterday, I do post both of those expected moves in Discord every day the evening before. So SPX trading right in the middle of both of those ranges. All right, those are the expected moves based on the options market. Now let's take a look at the Spotgamma levels. These are the dark red lines. They're based on gamma-weighted open interest. They're provided to Spotgamma subscribers. I'm going to take a look at the key daily levels. First of all, the put wall is at 6,000. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. And that's also the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. That's where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated. And note the put wall did shift higher from yesterday, from 5,900 yesterday to 6,000 today. Next level up is the volatility trigger at 6,035. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility and gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to their delta exposure. That tends to enhance or increase volatility. Above that level, like SPX is trading now, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And we'll take a closer look at gamma in just a couple of minutes. And then that level also shifted higher, slightly higher from yesterday. So for SPX and SPY, both the volatility triggers and put wall shifted higher. Finally, the next level up is the call wall at 6,200. That's the strike with largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. And certainly that is not in play for today. Put wall and volatility trigger much more important today, and absolute gamma strike. All right, that is a 30-day 1-hour chart. Let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1-minute chart so we can get a closer look at the levels in play for today. Let me zoom in on this just a little bit. So you can see this consolidation that's really started yesterday, continuing today. Looks like maybe SPX now trying to break out. So the key point here is SPX is trading above the volatility trigger at 6,035. And now has broken out above the 6,050 level. That's a large gamma 3 that did act as resistance earlier today. Now it looks like SPX trying to break out above that level. All right, let's go to Bookmap now. So in Bookmap, I have, let's actually take a quick look at a SPY chart. All right, so SPY is trading above its volatility trigger. There's that short at 10 a.m. So that acted as resistance earlier today. Now SPY is trading above that 601 volatility trigger. So there's SPY. That was the key level earlier today. And also key to note that SPY is trading above its volatility trigger, as well as SPX, also trading above its volatility trigger. In positive gamma. All right, so here's earlier today, the SPY 599. Let me zoom just a little bit. SPY 599, just a round number level, acting as support. Rally began after that sharp drop after the 10 a.m. data release. Again, SPY finding support at 599, rallying up to the SPX 6,050 level, and now breaking out above that level, or trying to anyway. We'll talk more about setups in just a few minutes. And note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX, and that difference, that ES to SPX offset today is 25 points, about 25 points. So I'm showing SPX 6050 at ES 6075. And I do post those index relationships that I use every day in Discord. I did post those in the morning. All right, so those are the levels in play for the SP 500. We'll talk more about setups in just a couple of minutes. On to Nasdaq. Similar chart. Let's take a look at the underlying index levels. First of all, QQQ. QQQ also trading above its volatility trigger at 524. Now finding support at the 525 level. Earlier today, just after the open, the round number of the 521 level acted as support. There's the 0 gamma level. That was the good entry point for short scalp right after the 10 a.m. data. Let's take a look at NDX. So NDX also trading above its volatility trigger at 21,440. Earlier today, the 21,500 level, that's a large gamma forward level, did act as a resistance. All right, back to Bookmap. All right, so just like the ES futures, I have, in this case for NQ futures, I have NDX and QQQ levels on this chart. There's the round number, QQQ 521. There's the 524 volatility trigger. Looks like I need to change the color in my spreadsheet. And the 525 large gamma 4 level. All right, so those are the levels in play for Nasdaq. All right, let's wrap up our positional analysis by taking a look at gamma. I'm going to start with gamma notional at the beginning of the day to see how market makers were positioned on the gamma curve again at the beginning of the day. This is gamma notional for the S&P 500, Nasdaq, and Russell 2000. With the exception of NDX, all these numbers are negative. Slightly negative. They did all shift higher from yesterday. So at the beginning of the day, market makers' position on the gamma curve for the S&P 500 and Nasdaq was slightly negative. All right, let's take a look at a current view of gamma. So this is the trace tool. It's available to Spotgamma subscribers. I'm on the gamma heat map. Let's step back in time. Let's go back to the beginning of the day. Just after the cash open. Actually, let's go to the cash open. So what this is showing at the open, it actually looks like slightly positive gamma, the blue shading, slightly positive gamma. So let's step forward 10 minutes. Go to 940. So this is fairly neutral gamma at the beginning of the day. We'll step forward in time. And let's go 10 more minutes. All right, so after the data released, as the S&P 500 dropped, this is SPX, it looked like gamma shifted down to more negative here. You can see the negative gamma on the GEX bars over on the left. Also, the stability index dropped from right around 24% down to 6%. That's very low. So after the 10 a.m. data release, SPX moved down into negative gamma. Also, you can see it's called the hedge wall here, but it's also the volatility trigger. So SPX traded down below its volatility trigger into negative gamma after the data release at 10 a.m. Now let's step So the consequence of positive and negative gamma, and positive gamma, again, we're looking for slower movement, market makers trading against price, and in negative gamma, looking for faster movement, larger movement, as market makers trade with price. So 1010, SPX trading down in negative gamma below the volatility trigger. Let's step forward in time. Keep an eye on the stability index also in that upper right corner. So now gamma is shifting toward positive. So just around noon, SPX is now moved above the, again, the hedge wall, same as the volatility trigger. That's the hedge wall, is just the equity hub terminology. So right around noon, a little bit before noon, 11:30, SPX moves above the volatility trigger into positive gamma, shown by the blue shading. Stability index has increased. So let's go to current time. Stability index has increased from right after the data release, 6% up to 48%. Again, SPX right now trading in positive gamma. And here's the highest positive gamma on the board. Right here, this large blue bar over to the left is 6060. All right, so that's the current state of gamma. So in this positive gamma environment, looking for slower movement. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at some setups now. We'll start with the S&P 500. And I do want to focus on stocks today because of the earnings. So let's start now. We'll go to the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, and then take a look at some stocks. So let's go to the S&P 500. And as always, I'm going to start by taking a look at what options traders are doing today. This is the hero signal. It's available to Spotgamma subscribers. This is the S&P 500 index signal, showing options trades and market maker hedging activity in real time for the index components for the S&P 500, SPX, SPY, ES Futures, and XSP. A rising orange line indicates traders are buying calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy, in this case, futures to hedge their delta exposure. So the call line has been rising pretty much consistently from the open. Bullish opening drive, slows down a little bit, and then right around, looks like right around 11:20, accelerated again, and now they've taken the foot off the gas. But overall, rising for the day, whereas the put line is pretty much flat for the day. It is negative delta notional, so traders have been buying puts, but the call buyers with a much higher positive delta notional have been driving price today. So that's the index signal. Let's take a look at the other signal for the S&P 500. This is the equity signal, showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for all 500 stocks in the S&P 500 index. And honestly, I found the index signal a little bit more clear today, especially setting up this long right after the drop of the data release. There's the 10 a.m. data release, the big drop. Traders were buying calls through that, and that set up this long up until about noon when the call buyers took their foot off the gas right at that 60-50 level. So reversal higher just after the data release. SPX moves up to the 60-50 level. That was noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note, and that is where the call buyers took their foot off the gas. All right, let's go to Bookmap. So we'll focus on this move higher just after the data release. You can see the shift in volume dots. Volume dots showing market buy minus sell. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. And just after, right around that 599 level, You can see all the magenta volume the green volume dots indicating more buyers than sellers come in. Price moves higher. Cumulative volume delta, that's shown by the dark blue line, start to rise. Then also buy stop orders shown by the yellow line help to fuel that move higher. And it really accelerated right around 1125 with a retest of the 60-20 level. That's also the SPY 600 absolute gamma strike. Retest of that level, and then the move higher really accelerated. You can see all the green volume dots and that straight shot up to from 60-20 to 60-50. So a quick 30 move higher, 30-point move higher in the S&P 500. Cumulative volume delta, again, green volume dots, a lot of aggressive buyers coming in, and then sell stop orders helping to fuel the move higher. And again, that's when the call buyers started to accelerate again. So call buyers, aggressive buyers, buy stop orders, helping to fuel that quick 30-point move higher up to the 60-50 large gamma 3 resistance level. And it looks like that level is still acting as resistance. All right, so that's the S&P 500. Initial entry point for long, then pull back again as the call buyers put their foot on the gas again. All right, let's go back to Hero. Bullish opening drive, took the foot off the gas. Sharp drop due to the data. Traders continue to buy calls. Price starts moving higher. Call buyers really accelerated up to the 60-50 level. Then they've taken the foot off the gas. All right, so that's the S&P 500. Again, I thought this index signal pretty clear today. So let's go to the Nasdaq now. This is the index signal for Nasdaq showing options trades, market maker hedging activity for NDX and QQQ. And just like the S&P 500, there are two signals that we can take a look at. The next is the Mag 7 signal showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven: Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. Again, for the Nasdaq, I thought this signal was much more clear. Traders are buying calls and buying puts, call buyers in charge. Zoom in just a bit. Pretty similar to the S&P 500, not quite as clear. Call line pretty steady up until about 10:20, 10:25. They start buying calls, then accelerate again right around 11:20, 11:25. Setting up that long after the 10 a.m. data release in the Nasdaq as well. All right, so let's go to Nasdaq now. So again, Nasdaq finding support right around the QQQ 521 level. Traders buying calls in the index. Pull back. Let me bump up these volume dots just a little bit. So you can see the aggressive buyers coming in. Magenta volume dots down below. Aggressive buyers come in. Price breaks above VWAP. That's that light blue line. Pullback entries. Deeper pullback here. And then aggressive buyers really come in. And Nasdaq shoots straight up. In this case to the 526 level. Or just between that and the NQ 750 level. All right, pretty similar setup to the S&P 500 ES futures. Back to Hero. So again, you can see the call line is pretty much just flattened out here. Right around noon, call buyers took their foot off the gas. That's call exhaustion. In this case, price is consolidating, just like the S&P 500. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. So again, Google, AMD reported earnings after the close. So let's start by taking a look at those, and I'll show you something else as well. So I have a watch list here. This is my Spotgamma Hero watch list. And I have a core watch list. More about that in just a minute, how you can develop a core watch list. And then I add some stocks daily, add and remove stocks daily based on stocks that are in the news. Also, Uber reported earnings. We'll take a look at that as well. So I updated my watch list here with Uber and this PDD that was also in the news. Chinese stock. And then I added BABA as well, also in the news. So let's start with taking a look at this stock screener. This is my watch list down below here, and I have ranked this from the weakest hero signal to the strongest. So first thing in the morning, Google was the weakest. AMD maybe next. So this changes over time as the hero signal changes. So in the morning, Google was the weakest. So we'll start with Google. We'll take a look at AMD, then Uber, and then we can take a look at Tesla as well, also on that list. All right, so I'm going to go back to this hero chart every time I select a stock here in this list. We'll go to Google. You can see how the screen jumps up and it chops off the top part of the hero signal. So let's go back to here. So we know, let's go back to this full screen signal, and we'll go to Google. And we'll take a look at how options traders reacted to earnings. All right, so this is Google. And initially there was a bullish reaction. 3 hero flow alerts come in. Let me zoom in on that just a little bit more. Flow alerts come in. Aggressive buyers start buying Google. It dropped pretty substantially overnight. And then the hero signal formed this call peak pattern. Aggressive call buying, not quite a sharp peak. That's because I'm zoomed in quite a bit. But flattens out. Then traders start selling calls. That set up a great short in Google this morning. Call peak pattern. And then resolving to a bearish continuation, bearish momentum with traders selling calls and buying puts. And that slowed down right around 10:20, 10:30. And traders started buying calls, stopped buying puts, and price reversed higher. But the good setup this morning was that short at the call peak. And as I'm zoomed out a little bit, you can see it does form more of a peak. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap now. Go to Google. So of course, Google was already in my core watch list, so I did need to add Google. We'll zoom in just a bit. All right, so there's that call peak pattern, setting up a short. Multiple entry points for a short, multiple pullbacks. And it was moving so fast that if you watch the market pulse price change indicator, It did mark with the extreme there that the first reversal point that it was moving so fast that the market pulse price change did not reach the bright green extreme on these pullbacks. All right, so Google found support right around the 188 level, absorption at that level. Those are limit buy orders in the order book. Do act as a magnet for price. In this case, aggressive buyers started to come in front running that liquidity at 188. And Google reversed higher as traders stopped buying puts and started buying calls. Let's go back to Hero. Call peak, bearish continuation. Then the call sellers and put buyers take the foot off the gas. And now somewhat of a bullish continuation and a reversal right around 1025, 1030. All right, so that's Google. Reported earnings. Let's take a look at AMD. And AMD really did not sync up with the options traders very much. So let's take a look at Bookmap. Let's go to AMD. All right, so for perspective, I've shown the chart from yesterday. So this is the drop after the earnings report, after the close, right there at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So that is yesterday. Now let's zoom in on today. Actually, let's do that for Google as well. Just put the price action for Google in perspective as well. All right, so there's the drop for Google from right around 206, 207 at the close, down to all the way down to 188. That was the level, actually below 188, maybe 187. All right, so the movement today in Google, pretty small by comparison. All right, back to AMD. All right, you can see what's driving AMD. Just look at all the green volume dots. So about an hour of chop this morning. Hour of chop, and then aggressive buyers really come in and start to move AMD higher. And you can see cumulative volume delta was already rising. So in this case, it is aggressive buyers, not options traders, really driving price in AMD today. And you would not be able to see that without Bookmap. You would not be able to see all these green volume dots. Just, of course, you could see the price action on a candlestick chart, but not see all the aggressive buyers. Pullback entries. Marked with market pulse price change. High liquidity shown in the order book, acting as magnets and targets for price. 110. Limit sell orders at those levels. 111. Again, acting as magnet for price. All right, so that's AMD. Let's take a look at Uber, the other stock that reported earnings, the other company. Uber, I have not had a chance to add price lines in here. So let's take a look and see what options traders are doing in Uber. And that was also on this list of the weakest hero signals. All right, back over here, go to Uber. Zoom in on this. All right, so there were some put sellers coming in right around 940. But traders were selling calls, and that was mostly driving price. So price bumped up after the put sellers came in. But when they stopped selling puts, started buying puts again, price started to move lower again. So there's your short entry as the put sellers take the foot off the gas and traders continue to sell calls. And that was right around 9:45. All right, back to Bookmap. Zoom in just a bit. There's your short entry right around 9:45. Resistance at VWAP, that light blue line, and Uber moves lower as traders, as the put sellers took the foot off the gas and they continue to sell calls. All right, so that's Uber. So those are the three stocks that I track that reported earnings. All right, let's go back to our list and take a look at some other stocks. So again, sticking with this hero signal list, ranked from weakest here, weakest at the top, and this is not up to date because, well, actually AMD, the hero signal, is weak, but the stock is strong today. All right, so let's take a look now at Meta. So I'm going to go over here and take a look at Meta. Really nice pattern here in Meta today. Bullish opening drive up until about 950. And then the call buyers and put sellers take the foot off the gas and Meta reverses. So bullish opening drive, bullish continuation up until about 950. And then they both take their foot off the gas and that shifts over to bearish continuation. Blue line, orange line moving the same direction. And that continued up until about 11:30 when the put buyers and the call sellers took their foot off the gas. So brief bullish opening drive and then a short setup. Let's go take a look at Meta in Bookmap. Again, I'm looking at Meta because it was on the list of stocks ranked from weakest hero signal to strongest. We'll take a look at the strongest in just a minute. Oh boy, welcome, glad you're here. Oh boy says SPX options trading has largest call volume at 60.50. Spotgamma has it at 60.60. At what time was it updated? We'll take a look at that in just a minute. Remember, Spotgamma is showing gamma weighted open interest. So you're showing largest call volume. What is the date for that call volume? Is that 0 DTE? All right, so anyway, let's take a look at Meta now. Bullish opening drive. And then bearish continuation until they took their foot off the gas right around 11:30. So right around 11:30 again, they call sellers and put buyers, take the foot off the gas. Price moves lower. Note one thing about Meta is the bid-ask spread now is pretty wide. It's such a high-priced stock. If we zoom in here, you can see the bid-ask spread is quite wide. Shown with these lines, that's going to move around all the time. That makes it a little bit not suitable for day trading anymore. Bid-ask spread is a little bit too wide. A little bit better for swing trading maybe with options. But it is one of the Mag 7 stocks. So I do keep it here in Bookmap. It has a big influence on the index. All right, next stock, Tesla. And that's the last of the stocks on that top portion of the weak list, ranked from weakest to strongest. So here's Tesla, very bearish day here in Tesla. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go to Tesla. Zoom in. Bearish opening drive, traders selling calls from the open. Take the foot off the gas. Tesla consolidates. Also, the put line is pretty flat. And then right just after 10, this is bearish continuation. Traders buying puts and selling calls. Blue line, orange line moving the same direction. And Tesla moves lower. So bearish opening drive, a little bit of consolidation, and then bearish continuation down up until about 10:30. And then that resumed just right around noon. Now traders in Tesla are selling calls and buying puts. All right, so the key turning points again, first bearish opening drive, then right around 10 to 10:30, and then resuming the move lower just after noon. Let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so there's that bearish opening drive, sharp move lower, consolidation. Then that 10 a.m. data release turning point. Move down to 10:30 again, remember 10 to 10:30. Down to the high liquidity at 380. Consolidation again, then right around noon. Tesla finds resistance at the 385 level, and traders resume buying puts and selling calls. In this case, now Tesla has broken through the 380 level. Looks like those limit buy orders in the order book were consumed. All right, so Tesla, following the options buyers and sellers, puts and calls, buyers and sellers. All right, so that's Tesla. Let's go back to Hero now. All right, so we've kind of worked our way through the stocks on this list, the top portion, the stocks that I want to take a look at. So this is a very systematic way of finding stocks to trade. I'll talk more about populating a watch list in just a minute. All right, so now let's rank this watch list. Oops. From strongest to weakest. So here are the strong stocks today. So if you're looking for a bullish setup, this is the way to go. I don't have a Broadcom in Bookmap right now, but let's take a look at that. Let's go over here. We'll go to Broadcom. Very bullish setup. Traders started buying calls started buying calls right around 9:45. Flow alert comes in, signals significant options activity, gets your attention, and then price follows. So a nice bullish divergence setup. Traders start buying calls. Price, it takes a little while for price to respond. So kind of a delayed bullish opening drive, and then call exhaustion as the call buyers take the foot off the gas. So a hero divergent setup, bullish opening drive, setting up a nice long. All right, the other stock on that list ranked from strongest to weakest. Next stock, NVIDIA. Flow alert, bullish opening drive. Traders buying calls. Price breaks above the 123 hedge wall. That level did act as resistance. Then price did break above that. And now traders have taken the foot off the gas. Call buyers taking the foot off the gas. And price is moving slightly lower. Still looks like it's still above the 123 hedge wall. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to NVIDIA. So again, NVIDIA on the opposite end of that list from Tesla. And you can see the difference here. So again, that's a very good systematic way of looking for setups, either short or long, is to rank your hero signal list by weakest or strongest. Market pulse price change indicator, marking the deeper pullbacks for long entries. Pullbacks to VWAP. And again, right afternoon, call buyers took their foot off the gas. And now NVIDIA consolidating, moving slightly lower. All right, so again, we looked at a very systematic way of finding stocks to trade, ranking your hero signal list by weakest to strongest or strongest to weakest. And we looked at examples on both ends. All right, let's take a look at how to populate your watch list. And forgot to bring these over. Give me just a second. Oh, here it is. I did bring it over. All right, so what I did is I went into ChatGPT and asked it to give me a list of the stocks, the top 20 stocks with the highest daily options volume. And this is what ChatGPT returned. And if you're using this approach, using options trades and market maker hedging activity as key drivers of price of stocks, this would be a good place to start. Notice at the top of this list, NVIDIA, Tesla, and Apple. And that makes a lot of sense. And note how NVIDIA dominates. And I haven't added all these numbers up, but I would imagine NVIDIA, these three certainly would add up to more than or close to what these last 17 are. So, of course, again, NVIDIA, Tesla, Apple, and Apple really dominating the list. Palantir, that may be due to earnings. We'll see. Certainly I'm going to keep track of Palantir for a while. So those are the stocks, certainly the Mag 7 stocks. And then I may adjust my list based on some of the stocks in this list. All right, so remember these numbers. This is stocks with the top options volume, daily options volume. Let's take a look at the ETFs with the highest daily options volume. Of course, the index ETFs, SPY, QQQ, and IWM. And remember, NVIDIA has greater daily options volume than even SPY. So this is an approach to populating your watch list. All right, let's go back to Hero. Actually go over here. So again, here's my watch list. So I have stocks in that list, Mag 7 stocks in that list, as well as stocks that I thought might be in play for today. All right, so a way of, again, populating your watch list, and then a systematic way of finding stocks to trade, strongest to weakest or weakest to strongest. All right, let's go to Trace now. Oh boy, let's see. All right, so according to Trace here, this 60-60 level definitely has the largest gamma. That's the largest gamma exposure. 60-55, that is negative gamma. So that indicates that in this case, traders are short this strike, market makers are long. So they're long this strike, short this strike. Let's take a look at open interest. There's the 60-60 level, 55 and 50. All right, so according to this, oh boy, the greatest open interest and gamma exposure, both at 60-60. So I'm not sure where you're getting information, but this is according to Spotgamma, both the greatest open interest and gamma exposure is at, up in this upper portion of the range at 60-60, and down below at 6,000. Let's go back to gamma exposure. Let's take a look at Charm. See if we can find a potential pin target for SPX at the end of the day. So potential pin targets. If price moves down right around 60-40, that's shown areas with blue buying support below, red selling pressure above. So there's the first potential target if price moves down or price continues to move higher at 60-60. And of course that would make sense. That would line up with the high positive gamma there. All right, any questions, comments? Let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so right now, ES is broken out above the 6,050 level. That it acted as resistance for quite a while. Not very strong move. Again, remember positive gamma. Check Nasdaq. Still stuck right below the 526 level. Back to ES. Let's check Hero. Go to Hero for the, start with the index. Overall call line and put lines pretty flat. Looks like in the equity signal now, traders are starting to buy calls. And that's probably helping to move the S&P 500 a little bit higher. Check the Nasdaq signal. Still very flat. Call line very flat. Looks like traders are slowly buying puts. Check the Mag 7 signal. Call buyers have come in. put line flat. Oh boy, you're welcome. Oh boy was looking at the toss options chain. All right, back to Bookmap. And nothing going on here in the S&P 500. So really 2 moves higher. 10 to 11.15 and then 11.25 to just afternoon. Now more chop. Potential pin targets again. 60.60 on the upside, 60.40 on the downside, and those are SPX prices. Let's check some other stocks. Take a look at Apple. So Apple was in the news today. Let's see what options traders have been doing in Apple. So the call buyers came in right around 10.20, moving Apple higher. Check the earnings stocks again. And actually, so the Google call buyers and put sellers have taken the foot off the gas. Google consolidating. I believe ARM may be reporting earnings. Let's see what options traders are doing. Looks like the traders are buying calls in ARM. Let me just check that real quick. Yeah, ARM does report earnings after the market closes today. So it looks like traders are getting ready for earnings by buying calls. Kind of a slow bullish opening drive, traders buying calls, and they take the foot off the gas as price moves up to the 170 key gamma strike. Now it looks like after about 1:30, traders started buying calls again. So traders buying calls ahead of the earnings report. All right, everyone, my time is up. I want to thank you very much for watching. Everyone have a great day. Remember, tomorrow jobless claims, ARM reports earnings after the market closes today. Tomorrow jobless claims, Amazon reports after the close, and then the jobs report on Friday. Everyone have a great day, great rest of the week, and I will see you on Monday. Bye.